Gonzalo Higuain retired from international play on Thursday. And it's kind of weird because how I see it is I was one of those that really criticized him throughout his career. At times it was, I guess you could say it was fair. Others you could say it wasn't fair. And I think it was more compound interest, if you will, because of previous performances jading one's vision of what was going on at that particular instance. If you look at the math, if you look at the numbers, if you analyze Gonzalo Higuain's performance throughout the past decade and change, you'd probably look at him and say, you know what, this guy's one of the top 10 goal scorers in world football. And you know what? You wouldn't be that far off. You would not be far off at all. Maybe he would be flirting with being one of the top 5 goal scorers in world football over the last decade. That might be a stretch, but if you decide to embark on that type of challenge, you might not be that far off. At 31, he retires from the national team, but retires maybe in not the best way. I don't expect Argentine fans to have a tribute match for Gonzalo Higuain. I don't think Gonzalo Higuain would be willing to have a tribute match at the end of the day. It's funny because very much like Lionel Messi, Messi had the chance to play for Spain. Higuain had the chance to play for France. Now, we can go into the world of supposition and start assuming that, yeah, maybe Higuain could have retired, gone into the sunset, and been able to say, you know what? He might have ended up going out a world champion. He probably could have won that World Cup that Argentines have been longing for years, and he could have been giving them the big FU. Maybe not so much like David Trezeguet, but Trezeguet wanted to play for France. Camoranesi being the latest Argentine to win a World Cup back in 2006 with Italy. It's a lot of things that end up embarking in the relationships between Argentine players, some Argentine players, I should say, and the fans and the media. It's one of those things that you look at Higuain and he will be the 6th all-time leading goal scorer for the Argentine national team. He still owns the record for most goals in Serie A in a season. He's one of the all-time leading goal scorers for Napoli. But there was always something missing. At times, you would see his legacy, and his legacy will no longer be about the goals that he made. It's about the ones that he missed. And he missed in very crucial moments in his career. Yeah, at times, I say, hey, another Higuain no-show, and rightly so. Higuain would not show up a lot of times. Now, that's a critic. Yeah, that's a critique that you can give him, sometimes justly, but yet a lot of times unjustly, because at the end of the day, football is a team sport. Football is a game where if you don't get the ball or you don't know what to do with the ball, depending on what camp you lie in, you're pretty much in the same boat. And a lot of things are hidden in the game of football. Yet a lot of things are exposed, sometimes even overexposed, because of the most clear and evident things. So-and-so is a great goal scorer. Yeah, but compared to who? Compared to what? In what type of context? There's a lot of little nuances in the game that numbers can't really tell, that numbers really aren't able to give you the entire story on. Just one little shift, just one little tweak that could be made in the midfield can be this butterfly effect of other things that occur defensively or even in front of the opposing goal. That's the big type of question that's always going to lie in terms of how footballers are viewed. Yeah, you're going to have the ones that are, without a doubt, the Messis, the Ronaldos, the Maradonas, the Pelés, the Cruyffs, the Beckenbauers. Going back a little bit even further into the past, the Di Stefanos. Those types of players. Yeah, they'll be undisputed. They won't have any debate, mind you. Yeah, they'll probably will have some debate because there's some people that want to question everything and want to think that everything about their generation is better than anything else without really giving notice to anything else that's going on. But I digress, because you look at what Higuain has been able to do, and his contributions were incredible for Argentina. But at the same time, a great player, regardless of position, regardless of country, great players are measured in great games, in important games. And those are the ones that Gonzalo Higuain did not come in. And they're very few and far between. At the club level, he hasn't shown up in major games. Yeah, fine, he did show up in a couple of Coppa Italia finals. Yeah, okay, I'll give you that. At River, he showed up a couple of times in a Super Classico. Yeah, I'll give you that. But those weren't the games, those weren't the matches that would define a career. The final of the Copa America on 2 occasions. The World Cup final. Those are matches that define a career, that are paramount in defining a legacy. Those types of moments are what end up defining someone as far as their career. Maradona had his career defined justly. Maybe 1990 a little unjustly. But 86 was able to overshadow that. Pelé as well. Great players are defined by great games. And Gonzalo Higuain did not show up in those. People will really go after me for saying that. But the proof is in the pudding there. Now, great players are defined in great games. That doesn't mean Gonzalo Higuain isn't a great forward. It's at times the inconsistency that has haunted him, like it has haunted players like Karim Benzema, are what make the difference, are what make those types of things. Even people have questioned individuals such as Luis Suarez. But the forward position, you get all the glory, but sometimes you get a little too much of the grief as well. There's a lot of things that forwards do that sometimes it's unjust to say, hey, you know what, he's in a scoring drought. And just leave it simply at that. That's where you start to see the big difference between the legacy that should have been, the legacy that might have been, and the legacy that is. And I think the legacy that is going to be that gray area in Gonzalo Higuain's career that maybe none of us will agree upon. But it's definitely going to be that whole issue of when did he show up, that we all at least will find that middle common ground.